The story I am going to tell today is an event that took place in a hotel located in the downtown area of Maha Sarakham Province at that time, and had to travel there for work for 7 days, where she encountered the most mysterious and terrifying experiences that could make one wet their bed out of fear. The story is called The Evil Room. Before we dive into our scary story, we would like to ask everyone to like and subscribe to support us in continuing to bring you more terrifying tales in the future. The entire event dates back to around 2017. At that time, and had the opportunity to travel for work to a province known as the Navel of Ison, which is Maha Sarakham, for this trip, and had to stay in that province for 7 days, and her company would cover the accommodation costs, but she had to find the place to stay on her own. On this trip to Maha Sarakham, and was accompanied by a younger female colleague named May, who had been to Maha Sarakham for work several times before, unlike and who was visiting for the first time. This work trip involved a team of several dozen people, each traveling separately and finding their own accommodations. Around 4 p.m., they arrived at their destination and found out that the other team members had already secured their lodgings, with everyone staying in different places. And then May, along with some other team members, were to stay at a hotel located in the city center. May took care of all the booking arrangements for, and the hotel was average. Not great, but not bad either. It was a 4-story building, typical of provincial hotels. When they reached the hotel front desk, May told and that she had some personal matters to attend to and needed to step out once they got their room, and could guess what the issue was, as May seemed to be arguing with her boyfriend over the phone during the check-in process. After checking in, as the staff announced the room number and prepared to help them with their luggage to the room, May suddenly turned to Ann and said, "I have to go. You go ahead and check out the room. I'll come back to handle the luggage." She then hurried out of the hotel, leaving and to follow the staff to the room alone. Ann's room was on the 4th floor, located at the end of the hallway next to the fire escape. The hallway was very wide enough to drive a car through comfortably. Doors of the guest rooms faced each other on both sides of the hallway, and at the end of the hallway was a large emergency exit door. Inside the room, the bathroom door was on the left, and on the right was a wardrobe. Further in, there were 2 beds. One bed was close to the bathroom wall, and the other was near the balcony. Between the 2 beds was a table for placing items, typical of a room with twin beds. At that moment, Ann began to arrange her belongings, getting everything ready for the start of work the next day. As the time approached almost 7 p.m., May returned to the room and asked Ann, "Why are we staying in this room? The one I arranged was not this one. The room we booked is on the 3rd floor," and replied, "I don't know either. They brought us here, so I just followed. Do you want to change rooms? Maybe we should tell them they gave us the wrong room." After and finished speaking, May stormed out of the room in frustration. After a while, Ann heard May talking to the housekeeper and hotel staff outside the room. From the conversation and overheard, it seemed they were discussing changing rooms. After a while, May returned and suggested they go out to find something to eat. When they reached the restaurant and learned that May had been arguing with her boyfriend because he wanted to join her in Maha Sarakham, but May didn't want him to come because if he did, he would need to book another room and would want May to stay with him, which would leave and to sleep alone. May did not want that, While they were enjoying their meal, May's boyfriend unexpectedly drove to the restaurant. Let me mention that May's boyfriend runs his own business, and whenever she travels for work, he often follows her, making her colleagues feel that she rarely gets to socialize with them. And had a brief conversation with May's boyfriend, who tried to explain their situation. Eventually, they agreed that May's boyfriend would book another room and May would stay with him for 2 to 3 days. In the mornings, May would come to Anne's room to shower and change before heading to work, leaving and to sleep alone for a few nights. Anne was fine with this arrangement because she was quite introverted and had a similar personality to May, which was why they got along well. On the first night, Anne returned to the room alone and completely forgot to discuss changing rooms with May. The next morning, May came to shower in Anne's room before they both dressed and went to work together. The first day of work was so busy and chaotic that they barely had time to talk. During the lunch break, May brought up the accommodation situation, mentioning that about 10 other team members were also staying at the same hotel but on the first and second floors. On the day they arrived, Anne and May were late, and the rooms on the first and second floors were already full. May had originally booked a room on the third floor, but since they checked in late, the hotel gave that room to another guest. So they ended up on the fourth floor. May suggested that they should move to the room she initially booked once it became available, and expressed that if the price difference wasn't significant, they didn't need to move because she was fine sleeping alone. Besides, the room was nice with a good view and spacious. May quickly responded, "No, we can't stay on the fourth floor. They say it's haunted. Whenever I and other team members stay here, we always stay on the second floor. Everyone knows this place is haunted, but we choose this hotel because the rooms are good and cheap. Plus, we can claim a large allowance from work." And asked if the story was true because she had slept well the previous night without any disturbances. May suggested that she ask the other team members. When and did, they all confirmed that the hotel was indeed haunted. At that moment, she thought to herself that when she first entered the room, everything seemed clean. The housekeeping staff were attentive, and the overall atmosphere of the room didn't feel oppressive or gloomy like the stories she had heard about haunted hotels. In the evening after work, May went to request a room change, but the guest in that room hadn't checked out yet. So on the second night, Anne ended up sleeping alone in the same room again. The events of the second night passed normally without any spooky incidents. On the third night, it so happened that Anne was on her period. She had a habit of taking a medicine that helps with blood circulation, which makes her a bit tipsy because the medicine contains alcohol. That night, she took her medicine and went to bed as usual. The next morning, Anne woke up to May's voice complaining as she walked into the room. And who was May complaining about? And of course, May was saying something like, "Why did you leave the door open? Why didn't you close the door? What if someone came in and stole something or did something bad?" And was confused and replied, "I didn't leave the door open. I always close and lock the door before bed." They argued loudly for a while because May was very upset since she had left valuable items in Anne's room. That night, Anne took her medicine and went to bed as usual, watching TV before falling asleep without turning it off. She didn't know how long she had been asleep when she woke up to see the bathroom light on and heard someone showering in there. She got up to check if it was May, but when she reached the bathroom door, she found that no one was inside. She didn't think much of it, assuming the noise might have come from the next room, and went back to bed, falling asleep again. Everything proceeded normally until the morning of the 5th day, and woke up to May's voice again, this time complaining that she had left the door open once more. That morning, their argument escalated, and May blurted out that she wouldn't stay with and anymore, and was baffled because she clearly remembered locking the door every night. She even remembered getting up in the middle of the night to turn off the bathroom light and seeing the door locked with the chain in place. This left her confused, wondering if she had really turned off the bathroom light or if it was a dream, or if it was the effect of the medicine making her forget what she had done. All day, she kept thinking about this, and in the evening, and returned to the room alone as usual. It seemed that May had moved all her belongings out that night and didn't take her medicine. She turned off the lights and went to bed. In the middle of the night, she heard the same sound of someone showering in the bathroom again. Half asleep, she thought it must be morning already, and May was back to shower and get ready like every other day. But when she turned to look at the balcony, there was no light coming through the curtains. She then thought that May might have had a fight with her boyfriend and returned to the room in the middle of the night, and decided to turn on the TV and waited for May to finish showering, thinking May might want to talk to her like before. She watched TV for a while, and then she saw what looked like May in a bathrobe walking out of the bathroom, opening the wardrobe across from the bathroom door and going back into the bathroom repeatedly, and noticed May doing this for a long time. The room was dark except for the TV light and the light from the bathroom door. Normally, May takes a long time in the bathroom. When they stay out of town, May always lets in shower first. But thinking it was already late, May shouldn't be taking this long. As Zen was pondering this, May walked into the bathroom and decided to get up and check. But when she reached the bathroom door, she found it empty, with no one there. The bathroom floor wasn't even wet. Who was the person she saw walking in and out of the bathroom for hours? Shocked by what she saw, and slowly backed away to her bed. She was too stunned to speak. When she reached her bed, she quickly pulled the blanket over her head in fear. While hiding under the blanket, she heard the sound of a chair being dragged back and forth near the bathroom door. She was torn between wanting to peek and see who was there and being terrified by what she had just seen. After a while, she decided to peek out from under the blanket. She saw the bathroom light was now off, with only the TV light illuminating the room. She saw the silhouette of a woman in a bathrobe sitting on a chair facing the wardrobe, and quickly pulled the blanket back over her head, terrified. She was so frightened that she didn't know when she fell asleep again. She woke up around noon the next day when May came in to wake her up, worried because Zen hadn't gone to work that morning. May told her she would move back in since her boyfriend had gone home and they had resolved their argument. After May left and opened the curtains and turned on the lights, glancing nervously at the closed bathroom door. The events of the previous night made and so scared that she didn't want to stay alone in the room. She decided to go downstairs to find something to eat and used the hotel restroom to freshen up, and sat in the lounge until she calmed down and then decided to return to her room, reassuring herself that it was still early and nothing would happen. About an hour later, May returned to the room, telling Anne that she had taken half a day off to pack and move her belongings out of her boyfriend's room and that she wanted to talk to Anne. However, May asked Anne to talk downstairs instead. Once downstairs, They saw that May had left her belongings at the hotel front desk. May then told and that she was going to move to another room that wasn't on the 4th floor and to see the new room, which had just been vacated and hadn't been cleaned yet. Moreover, the bed in that room was a single bed. The two of them discussed what to do next. During their conversation, Anne decided to tell May about her experience the previous night. After listening to Anne's story, May began to explain that on the second night they argued. May was very angry with and thought and must have been drunk and left the door open. May decided to check the security cameras on the 4th floor, which had cameras pointing from both ends of the hallway towards each other. From the footage, Anne's room door was closed and everything appeared normal with no one passing by. However, shortly before May went up to see Anne, the door to Anne's room opened from the inside. May thought that Anne might have sleepwalked and opened the door. Hearing this, Anne became unsure of herself and feared that she might have indeed sleepwalked and opened the door. At that moment, she just went along with May's suggestion. They both returned to thinking about what to do next since they only had 2 more days before they could go back. Then May said, "There probably won't be anything tonight. Since we're sleeping together tonight, I can see if you really sleepwalk. Better than leaving the door open and someone coming in to steal." And agreed because at least having someone sleep with her would make her feel safer than the previous nights. That night, they talked and reconciled until they fell asleep, and slept soundly until morning, waking up to the sound of her phone alarm at around 6:30 a.m. When Anne turned to look at May's bed, she saw May lying under the blanket, playing with her phone. Hearing Anne wake up, May asked if and wanted to use the bathroom first, saying she would go after Anne, and got out of bed and walked to the bathroom. But before she could enter, she noticed that the door was ajar with the safety chain on. She then went to close the door and continued to the bathroom to take care of her personal business. That morning, they both went to work as usual. However, while they were working, May suddenly came up to Anne and said, "And I can't take it anymore," and asked, "What's wrong? Did you fight with your boyfriend? I saw you on your phone early this morning." "I haven't slept at all. I was haunted by a ghost all night," May replied with a terrified expression and began to recount what had happened to her the previous night. She said she woke up to use the bathroom at around 4 a.m. but saw that someone was already in there. She assumed it was, and so she went to talk on the phone on the balcony. After a while, she came back into the room and didn't hear any noise from the bathroom. So she glanced at Anne's bed and saw Anne lying there. She thought Anne had finished and gone back to sleep. May decided to go to the bathroom, but before she could reach it, she encountered a woman in a bathrobe sitting on a chair in front of the bathroom. At that moment, May was extremely scared and knew instantly that the person sitting there wasn't Anne because she had never seen Anne wear a bathrobe. Too frightened to call out to Anne, fearing the mysterious woman might hear, May quietly returned to bed, pulled the blanket over her head, and tried to peek at what the woman was doing. She saw the woman sit for a while, then get up and do something at the room's door, then return to her original spot, take out a rope, and climb onto the chair to hang herself. After a moment, the scene of the woman hanging disappeared in an instant, and the woman was sitting on the chair again. She then got up, went into the bathroom, came out, and went to the door and hang herself again. This repeated throughout the night. May was so terrified by what she saw that she wet the bed and didn't dare move, staying under the blanket until morning. At noon, when they returned to the room, May took the bedsheet to wash it in the bathroom and asked and to sit outside the bathroom door with her. That day was the last day they had to work there, so they agreed to leave that night. In the afternoon, and the other team members gathered to talk about the ghost stories of the hotel. Many in the team mentioned having similar experiences, with some encountering ghosts on the 4th floor but in different rooms, and each encounter being different. Everyone who had such experiences moved out within the first few days, but they still chose to stay at this hotel because the room rates were cheaper compared to other places with similar quality. Later, they decided to stay on the lower floors where the rooms weren't as good as those on the upper floors but had the advantage of no strange encounters. While they were chatting, a colleague asked if they had prayed or placed a coin on the headboard when they checked in. Both realized they hadn't done any of what was suggested. At least before leaving, they both went to pray at the hotel's spirit house to apologize for not paying respects when they first checked in.